Welcome back. We're talking with Robert Scott Bell. He's the host of the Robert Scott Bell Show on naturalnewsradio.com and GCNlive.com. Robert, Bill Elliott, a cancer patient, cancer victim, if you will, he recently appeared on Fox News, and when he was speaking to Megyn Kelly, he revealed to her that his insurance premiums jumped from about $125 a month all the way up to $1,000 a month. He said, you know what? He told Megyn Kelly he would rather take his chances with nature because he could not afford the new insurance premiums. Therefore, leading us to believe that he would rather die than to pay for his insurance, letting nature take its course. Is that one small snapshot of what is taking place across this country?
Yeah, actually, I would agree that letting nature take its course is not, well, how would we say? It's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Because the reality of modern medicine and modern insurance schemes, whether it was prior to Obamacare or post-Obamacare, and I've said this many times on my broadcast, that the most dangerous thing you can have in America is good health insurance. And that's a shocking statement. A lot of folks don't understand that, but I speak to folks that are dealing with cancer all of the time. And I said that good health insurance guarantees that you're going to have the most aggressive, invasive therapies available to modern medicine that often will kill you much quicker than the cancer you've been diagnosed with would. And there are studies to back this up, peer-reviewed journals recognizing that simply doing nothing in the face of many cancers, and you'll live just as long, except you'll live with a much higher or much better quality of life. So I see the failure of this ultimately will be a resulting resurgence, a renaissance, if you will, in natural healing. The embracing, as you said, of the natural way, nature-type medicines. So I don't look at it as a negative context, although the media is portraying it that way.
So you believe that the fact that all these individuals, I don't have the exact statistic in front of me right now, but I know it's in the hundreds of thousands across the country. Do you believe that all these people who are now going to be uninsured, do you believe that they will now be seeking more natural remedies or natural ways to cure some of their pains rather than going through the medical system because they're not insured?
Exactly, and that's a big reason why we're seeing the medical cannabis issue being raised in more and more states and the decriminalization of it. So absolutely, I see it's a rise of what they'll call it the black market, but it's the free market in medicine. You're going to see the rise of the lay practitioner, the healers, the natural healers, the homeopaths. These are unlicensed, often unregulated. For some, that's a scary thought. But I will say that the licensed and regulated practitioners are creating such death, destruction, and mayhem right now, but it's sanctioned that if people realize the sheer numbers of Americans that are being killed each year to the medical system as it exists today, completely regulated and licensed, you would begin to embrace this idea of decentralization, allowing the natural healers to heal or at least compete. Not to be able to claim that they are something that they're not, but to acknowledge that they work with things in a different way, with different substances, and ultimately we'll see a resurgence in natural health care that will inevitably put to shame the system that people are clamoring to be able to afford.
But Robert, given the state of America we live in today, the rise of the police state, the rise of the surveillance state, the NSA spying is rampant. Every single phone call, every single email, every location you go to, every credit card transaction is tracked, monitored, metadata stored in data centers. Corporations who are selling information to the federal government, huge databases are being amassed. So. Yes. With all that in mind, what is to keep the federal government from cracking down, putting the boot heel of tyranny down on these individuals who you say are unlicensed and practicing simple natural healing techniques?
Well, it's simple in that the return to that form of medicine is going to have to align itself with a spiritual revolution. Kind of the dawning of the American Republic, where we immigrated, if we will. We left England, the crown, and many of us left religious persecution. So we're going to have to bring the healers back under the realm of the churches and the synagogues into that realm where the federal government has no authority, and often the state, based on the state constitutions, allow for freedom of religion. So ultimately, we're going to have to recognize that healing is a spiritual issue, not just a physiological one. So I think that will be a big, big play. The other thing is, as we've seen with the decriminalization of federal marijuana laws, or let's say on the state level, legalizing, if we will, hemp, cannabis, marijuana. I have yet to see Obama send in the tanks and the F-22 Raptors into any of those states who have nullified federal law on that issue. I think they'll be hard-pressed to attack maybe a few natural healers, but there are thousands and thousands of them out there. But the people who are seeking out and succeeding at healing, the states are not going to put up with it. The people are not going to put up with it ultimately. And look, I talk about nullification. You've covered it on Natural News Network. I'm sorry, I sound to Natural News. You know, Next News Network. It's natural right now. But the idea of nullification of these federal laws, I talk about Rosa Parks in Selma, Alabama, that kind of concept of somebody said, you got to go to the back of the bus. She said, no, we can learn more from our 2-year-olds than from most adults about the power of no. But I'm saying here with Obamacare, don't even get on the bus. It's so toxic, it's so poisoned, it's so polluted, you're just as likely to die getting on the bus than getting worried about being hit by getting run over. The bus won't even work. It won't even go. So it's time to say
but Robert,
no.
they have the IRS enforcing those who do not even sign up. If you don't get insurance, you're going to be fined $95 or 1% of your income every year. How does one opt out without having to face the penalties that are going to come down from the federal government?
Well, there are some arguments that they don't have the authority to actually collect. That's going to be an issue. And as more people say, I'm not getting on the Obamacare bus, a lot of folks are saying, good luck collecting. So I don't think that's going to be as big an issue as we think right now, perhaps. They will not be able to manage this behemoth. They've already seen it in the beginning stages. They won't be able to in the end stage, because who in the right mind is going to sign up for a system that doesn't even work, a bus that doesn't go? So I'm not the only one saying this. I'm just having to acknowledge it in terms of the power of no, the power of nullification, the power of someone that sits on the bus and says, I'm not going to the back, or now says, I've seen what this bus can do. I'm not getting on it. It is my birthright to say no to this. It is a violation. And there are other challenges to the Obamacare law, but ultimately, the power of consent is the most powerful weapon you have, more powerful than any gun carrying any number of bullets.
All right. Well, clearly, Robert, you're not getting on the bus.
You said that right.
Thanks for joining us on this edition of WHDT World News.
Thanks.
All right. That was Robert Scott Bell. He's the host of the Robert Scott Bell Show on naturalnewsradio.com and GCNlive.com. We've got more weather and Hollywood news coming up after the break. Stay tuned.